The whole world is afraid of Japan's military. In order to avoid making any overt connotations with the name military for its armed forces, Japan has, for a considerable amount of time, maintained a strong concentration on defensive capabilities. Despite this, the country has been hard at work developing one of the top 5 most powerful armies in the world. Japanese authorities are gradually placing a higher priority on the expansion of their air, naval, and land troops in response to the developing tensions with neighboring countries such as China, North Korea, and Russia. In Article 9 of its constitution, Japan renounces war and the use of armed force to resolve international issues. This move indicates a break from Japan's previous pacifist attitude, which is notably visible in the country's historic stance. In spite of this constitutional restriction, Japan devotes a sizable amount of its gross domestic product, GDP, to its armed forces on a yearly basis. Recent events, such as the situation in Ukraine, have prompted discussions surrounding the possibility of increasing defense spending to 2% of GDP. Moreover, the United States has been pressing for Tokyo to increase its military budget for a long time, which is another source of the pressure that is being exerted to improve defense capabilities. Japan's modern armed forces have evolved to meet the demands of a changing geopolitical landscape, with an emphasis on defense while also contemplating potential counterattack capabilities. This is true despite the fact that the international community frequently associates Japan with pacifism. Modern Japanese Army. Since its founding in 1954, the Japanese Self-Defense Force, JSDF, has been organized into 3 primary branches: the Japan Ground Self-Defense Force, JGSDF, the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force, JMSDF, and the Japan Air Self-Defense Force, JASDF. The major purpose of the Japan Self-Defense Force, JSDF, which has a total strength of 250,000 soldiers and a mobile reserve that comprises more than 40,000 individuals, is to protect the nation's freedoms and independence. Over 150,000 soldiers make up the Japan Ground Self-Defense Force, JGSDF, which is tasked with ground operations and has a variety of specialized units, infantry divisions, brigades, airborne and air assault brigades, artillery and anti-aircraft artillery brigades, engineering brigades, and helicopter brigades. The Japanese Ground Self-Defense Force, JGSDF, performs tough exercises that make use of simulators, advanced training programs, and live-fire drills overseas, such as at the Yakima Training Center in the United States. This is despite the fact that there are restricted training sites due to population density and urbanization. Japan has made investments in wheeled tank destroyers like the Type 16, which are capable of fast deployment via military transport aircraft, in addition to major battle tanks such as the Type 10 and Type 90. This is because Japan recognizes the significance of mobility and firepower for an island nation. Furthermore, in order to strengthen its defensive capabilities, the Japanese Ground Self-Propelled Defense Force, JGSDF, is equipped with artillery support vehicles, multiple launch rocket systems, artillery support vehicles, and armored personnel carriers that are all manufactured in Japan. Japan's Maritime Self-Defense Forces, with its origins stretching back to the fearsome Imperial Navy, which was created in 1868, the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force, JMSDF, has a long and illustrious history. It was the 3rd largest navy in the world by the year 1920, trailing only the United States Navy and the Royal Navy in terms of membership. Japan's status as a naval force was strengthened in 1921 when it created the world's first aircraft carrier that was specifically designed for the purpose of carrying aircraft. However, the Japanese fleet was severely damaged as a result of the conflict, and by May of 1945, the majority of the Imperial Navy had been eliminated from the sea. The only vessels that were left were the flagship battleship Nagato and a few other vessels. In 1952, coastal security forces were established, and in 1954, they evolved into the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force, JMSDF. In 1956, the Hurricane, the first destroyer to be manufactured domestically, was introduced. Through efficient investments in defense during a period of fast economic development, the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force, JMSDF, became the 4th largest navy in the world in terms of total tonnage by the year 2000. The Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force, JMSDF, which is well known for its impressive anti-submarine defense and mine-sweeping capabilities, has set up at least 14 listening stations all over the country. A few of these listening stations are equipped with powerful maritime surveillance radars. The Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force, JMSDF, has a fleet of diesel-electric submarines that use cutting-edge technology and are renowned for their stealth and maneuverability. The Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force, JMSDF, made the switch to lithium-ion batteries in its submarines in the year 2020, which is Japan's underwater range and operating capabilities. The Izumo-class helicopter carriers Kaga and Izumo, which are also capable of performing the duties of light aircraft carriers, are the most prized possessions of the contemporary Japanese fleet. There was a key milestone in Japan's naval aviation capability when these carriers were modernized so that they could be used with F-35B STOVL aircraft. The continuous modernization efforts, which include the introduction of sophisticated submarines and aircraft carriers, demonstrate Japan's dedication to preserving maritime security and making a contribution to the stability of the area. Despite the fact that Japan is continuing to invest in its naval capabilities, the country continues to be an important participant in the Indo-Pacific area. Japan's Air Self-Defense Force. The Japan Air Self-Defense Force, JASDF, informally known as the Japan Air Force, is the aerospace branch of the Japan Self-Defense Force responsible for safeguarding the country's airspace, conducting air and space operations, cyber warfare, and electronic warfare. In recognition of the growing significance of the space industry, the branch is set to be renamed the Japan Aerospace Self-Defense Force, JASDF, in 2023. With a focus on protecting civilian peace, JASDF pilots undergo rigorous training, often requiring them to perform maintenance tasks like warming up the nozzles of their aircraft 873 times a year. The force has frequently had to scramble fighter jets in response to Chinese and Russian warplanes approaching their airspace, though none have crossed into it, partly due to the support of the United States and Japan's well-planned defense strategy. Despite initially relying heavily on American aircraft after the 1950s, Japan gradually introduced domestically modernized aircraft. Notably, Japan was the only nation with a license from the United States to produce its version of the F-15J/DG Eagle fighters. The Mitsubishi F-2, based on the F-16 Fighting Falcon, became the world's first active military aircraft equipped with ADSA radar before the F-22 Raptor. Japan's efforts in aircraft development continue with the ATD-X aircraft, nicknamed X-2 Shinshin, and plans for a sixth-generation fighter, the Mitsubishi FX or F3. Collaboration with Lockheed Martin and British specialists underscores Japan's commitment to enhancing its defense capabilities and potentially entering the international arms market. The JSDF's arsenal includes a diverse range of aircraft, including F-35 Lightning I stealth fighters, making Japan the largest user of U.S. fighters outside of the United States. Additionally, the introduction of innovative aircraft like the Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey tiltrotor enhances Japan's air mobility and versatility. Japan's arsenal of more than 740 military aircraft, 154 ships, including submarines and carriers, and tens of thousands of missiles underscores its dedication to upholding security and stability in the region with the help of its ally, United States. Would you like it? Hit the like button and subscribe to our channels for more interesting and informative videos.